Hi friends, in this video I am going to discuss about the International Environmental Organization. Environmental Organization, it's an important area for UPSC exam because every year we can expect at least 2 questions from these topics. There are lots of environmental organizations, conventions or treaties which are working for the protection of environment. Due to the developmental activities, mainly due to the industrialization, the environment it started to degrade and its after effects are now we are facing in the form of climate change or the global warming or the extinction of some species. Okay, without the environment, the life can't exist. So, all over the world is working for reducing the environmental degradation or to tackle the global warming. So, there are lots of environmental organizations. Here, I will be dealing with important international environmental organizations in a series of videos. So, let us first discuss about IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. In 1948, the International Union for the Protection of Nature was established and it was later renamed as IUCN, and it is headquartered in Gland, that means it is in Switzerland. IUCN is also known as World Conservation Union. It is one of the world's oldest, largest and most diverse environmental network for the conservation of biodiversity. IUCN is a membership union uniquely composed of both governments and civil society organizations, that means NGOs, non-governmental organizations. One important thing about IUCN is it's an organization with official observer status at United Nations General Assembly. Okay, it is only having official observer status. IUCN is not an organ of UN. So every organization will be having their own vision and mission, right? So the vision of IUCN is just a world that values and conserves the nature, and their mission is to provide a leadership and influence, encourage and assist the societies throughout the world to conserve the integrity and diversity of that nature or the environment, and to ensure that any use of natural resources is equitable and ecologically sustainable. So this is the mission of IUCN. So now let us discuss what IUCN is doing to achieve their vision. IUCN prepare a list called IUCN Red List or the Red Data Book that classify both the plants and animals on the basis of their threat. That means on the basis of their past and present distribution, past and present population. Based on that, they are categorizing the animals into, or both the animals and plants into threatened categories. So the Red Data Book contains the names of globally threatened animals and plants. The second thing is the IUCN supports captive breeding and habitat protection to maintain the viable population of wild flora and fauna. Flora and fauna means the plants and animals, right? So it is also carry out in the captive breeding program. Captive breeding means it's a ex situ conservation method. IUCN has a lots of member organizations and experts. So it is harnessing the experience, knowledge, resources and reach from their member organizations and experts. By that information, they are categorizing the species based on the threat. IUCN acts as a leading provider of conservation data, its assessment and analysis. It provides public, private and non-government organizations with the knowledge and tools that enable human progress, economic development and nature conservation to take place together. So the IUCN runs hundreds of field projects around the world to better manage the natural environments. Combining the latest science with the traditional knowledge of the local communities, these projects run by the IUCN work to reverse the habitat loss, restore the ecosystems and improve people's well-being. IUCN, it provides the latest science and knowledge on ecosystems and biodiversity and their contribution to the human well-being. The IUCN helps the governments, communities, NGOs and the private sector to develop environmental laws, policies and their best practices. Now, the IUCN's current focus builds on the 3 pillars of IUCN's 2013-2016 program. First one is valuing and conserving nature. Second, the effective and equitable governance of nature's use. And third one is deploying nature-based solutions to global challenges in climate, food and development. These are the main points about IUCN. Now, let us discuss 2 previous year questions which was asked by UPSC about IUCN. So, this is a question asked in 2015 with reference to the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources and the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna. Which of the following statement is correct? And the first statement is IUCN is an organ of the United Nations and CITES is an international agreement between governments. So we discussed that IUCN is having an official observer status at the United Nations General Assembly. So it is having an official observer status only. It is not an organ of UN. So the first statement is wrong, right? So if we know the first statement is wrong, we got the answer by eliminating the options that having 1 in their choices. So here the answer is B, 2 and 3 only. Rest of all we eliminated. Now we got the answer, right? But we can check the rest of the options too. The second part of the first statement is also correct. That means CITES is an intergovernmental treaty, because CITES it's a convention, so it's a intergovernmental treaty. Then the second option, IUCN runs thousands of field projects around the world to better manage natural environments. So we discussed this statement also. That means IUCN run so many field projects with the combination of latest science and traditional knowledge to restore the ecosystems, right? So the second statement is also a correct one. Then coming to the third statement, CITES is legally binding on the states that have joined it, but this convention does not take the place of any national laws. This statement is also correct one. We will discuss about CITES in our next video. Now just know that CITES it's a convention, that means it's a legally binding treaty or legally binding agreement, and the CITES it does not take the place of any national laws. Rather, it provides a framework to be respected by each party, which has to adopt its own domestic legislation to ensure that CITES is implemented at the national level. And another thing is, CITES is not having any enforcement authority. That means they do not have its own police force. The CITES will depend on the laws and enforcement procedure of the each nation. So now the third statement is also a correct one. So the answer was 2 and 3, right? So by going through this question, what we can understand is, these all statements are there in the official website of IUCN. From there, the UPSC is taking the statements. Okay, so that's why in the strategy video I said you have to study from the about us page of each official website of the organizations. Now this is another question asked in 2011 related to IUCN. The red data books published by the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, that means IUCN, contains the list of, and they give some options also. First option is, they contain the list of endemic plant and animal species present in the biodiversity hotspots. It's a wrong statement, because IUCN red list contains the list of all the species based on their threat. So it's a list of threatened species, not a list of endemic plants in the biodiversity hotspots. So the first statement is wrong. So if the first statement is wrong, we can eliminate A, 1 and 3, right? Then the second statement, the list contains the threatened plant and animal species. Yes, this option is correct. The red list contains list of threatened species, both animals and plants. So we can eliminate D, 3 only, because it doesn't have second option in their choice. Then the third statement, the list contains the protected sites for conservation of nature and natural resources in various countries. So this statement is also wrong, because the IUCN red list only deal with the list of threatened species, not the protected areas. So the answer is B, 2 only. So that's all about IUCN. Okay, so what are the main things you have to study from IUCN? It's a membership union of both governments and NGOs. Then the second thing is, IUCN make a list called IUCN Red Data Book or IUCN Red List, and it contains the list of both animals and plants based on their threat. Then IUCN runs so many field projects, and it has lots of member organizations and experts. By their knowledge, they are updating the IUCN Red List, or they are conserving the nature, or they are conserving the ecosystems by protecting the animals and plants. So hope you got an overall idea about IUCN. In the upcoming videos, we will be dealing with rest of the important environmental organizations. Stay tuned with our channel. Thank you.